Today we're joined by Steve Leary, owner of American Business Forms for over 17 years. Steve has been able to grow his business during the pandemic by focusing on the customer. Steve, thank you for joining us and your willingness to tell your story.
Thanks, Ryan. Great to be here.
Thanks. So maybe we can start out if you could tell us a little bit about your family and some of your hobbies so we can get a chance to know you a bit better.
Oh, great. I live in Owings Mills with my wife and two children. I've got an 18-year-old, soon to be in college, and a 14-year-old, a freshman in high school. Hobbies are two main hobbies. We do a lot of boating with the pandemic last year as a family, and sports-wise, I'm an avid squash player. I play squash about 5 to 6 days a week. So those are my two, I guess, things I do outside the office.
Boating, that's one of my passions and loves. I believe we have that in common. And if I recall correctly, you bought a Cobalt a number of years ago, right?
Yes, my second Cobalt. So two Cobalts over the last 15 years. Yeah,
Very
it's a
cool.
lot of fun.
So let's go into your organization. What is it about the company that fuels your passion?
I think the drive to I guess to drive the business yourself, to be the entrepreneur. If you go back into my history, right out of college, I worked actually for this company for 5 years. The owner of the company and I got along very well. I left the company to get into the financial world. I did that for about 5 years with Alex Brown. Alex Brown got bought by a company called Deutsche Bank. I then went to a company called the Hartford or Hartford Financial. They ended up selling the division that I was with to a company called Mass Mutual. And fast forward, I came back and I was back in the print world again. In 2003, I purchased this company from the previous owner that I started working for back in 1989. Believe it or not, right out of college. So when you have, I guess, Ryan, two companies that kind of imploded and you didn't have a job anymore and you had to go look for something with a couple kids in school, you certainly and a family now, it was certainly something I needed a little bit more stability, and I knew ownership would probably, or entrepreneurship, I should say, was the way to go for me.
So that's a pretty interesting story. So you actually worked for American Business Forms. How old were you when you started working for them?
Right out of school, I was 21 years old.
Okay, and what did you do for them back then?
We were a part of a software company. It was called Reliable Data Systems out of Hunt Valley. We had about 110 employees. We sold software to fuel oil dealers, propane distributors, and trash haulers, and then we had a print division attached to that. And I was in charge of managing the print division. So we had two salespeople in the print division, and we sold some other products and that type of thing. That was right at Reliable Data.
Okay. So American Business Forms, I believe that, really the name kind of specifies that you do forms, but I believe you do a lot more than just forms this day and age. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about your product offering and some of the things that you offer your customers.
Yeah. Basically, we are a traditional print company. Anything that has paper on it. So people always ask me, it's American Business Forms and envelopes. So one of the products certainly is envelopes. We do a ton of envelopes, but we do all types of printing. So paper printing, they're called NCR sets, Ryan. So a multi-part form that might be a two-part or a three-part. You might see that as white, yellow, pink, or white, yellow, pink, gold as a four-part form. And then just an array of stickers, signage for real estate, coroplast signs. Those are the signs you see on the side of the highway with yard stakes in them, and just all kinds of printing as far as banners go. We did some graphic banners, and then signage for the front of offices too. It's something called perforated vinyl. You'll see them on window fronts. A lot of a liquor store might have them, or it might be on a restaurant. It might have the deal of the day or anything like that. You see them a lot on a lot of fast food restaurants, Chick-fil-A, Burger King, that type of thing. We do a lot of that. We also do the install there.
Okay. And so what is the scope of the organization? Are you just in Maryland or are you all over the country?
Amazingly enough, we have more customers in California than we have in Maryland. But yeah, we're in every state in the U.S. I think we have six customers in Alaska, I think we have three customers now in Hawaii, and we're in every state in the U.S. We have more customers in the state of California, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey. Those are our mainstay states, and then several customers in St. Croix, two customers in Puerto Rico, and one customer in St. Thomas. So we're across the board in every state in the U.S.
So is there a part of the business that you enjoy more so than the other?
Yeah, I enjoy the marketing side. I think a lot of people come to me, and we've always had substantial growth. We try to grow right around 15% per year. Years we've had years of 18 and 20. And I think when I talk to a business owner like myself, and he's in one of the vertical markets that we go after, I think I can educate them a lot of times, and hey, how can you build your business? What ways can I help you build your business? How many customers do you
Right.
have, or are you always looking for more customers? And I think that's where our stronghold is to help the individual small business owner try to grow his business.
And what are some of those industries that you focus on?
Yeah, they're not the sexiest industries out there. I'll tell you that much. Well, if you go back to the reliable data story where we first started, we were selling to fuel oil dealers, propane distributors, and trash haulers. So we always printed for those industries. In the past 17 years, since 2003, we got into pest control. We got into HVAC, so heating, ventilation, and air conditioning contractors, plumbing contractors, electrical contractors, real estate, a lot of real estate brokers, whether that would be on the retail side or the commercial side,
Okay.
and then as well as rental centers, people that rent equipment to people. All of those industries, if you think about them, Ryan, they all need paper. They use a lot of paper. And if you think about the sticker industry too, if you see a trash can or a trash container out back of your office, those stickers that are on those containers, those stickers that are on propane tanks,
Right.
those stickers that are on fuel tanks, all that type of product is prevalent to all those industries as well.
Okay. So if one of these customers would need to, your services, what's kind of the process that you walk them through if you've never worked with them before?
It's pretty easy now, I guess. Well, when we started back in '89, the internet wasn't really as prevalent as it is now. But for the most part, most of our clients will come to us with a PDF of their logo. That's kind of the starting point. If they have a website, that's a huge obstacle. We can go right onto their website and see what they want. We might be printing like a full color flyer for them, a postcard that they might want to mail out to people. But it starts with a PDF. If they don't have a PDF, a lot of times we just suggest to go out. These cameras these days, smartphone, whether it's Android or iPhone, are high res. They're 600 DPI. So we say, hey, go out and take a picture of your truck, and we could actually put a picture of your truck on your business card, on your postcard that you might want to send out, on a possible door hanger or whatever that may be. And then we have a full graphic art department here. We have 4 graphic designers in house, and we start from scratch, and we go proof to proof and get an advice from then as the proofs are going on, and build the product with the client one on one.
That's great. So if the customer's not tech savvy, you guys have the ability with your graphic designers to jump in and help make the design look what it needs to look like, and fix the logo, and maybe even possibly create a logo if they don't have one.
Absolutely, that's the last thing we do. We do a lot of logos for people, or create a logo for somebody. It's funny if you think the industries we're in, they certainly aren't the savviest in the world. But a lot of times I'll have a trash hauler on the phone. He'll be just getting started. He'll have one truck. He'll buy a couple roll-off containers, and he'll give us a call, normally on his cell phone. And I'll say, hey, can you take a picture, and you email it to me? And he said, they'll come back, and he'll say, can I text it to you? And yeah, let me give you my cell phone number. And a lot of times the relationship starts that way. And then eventually once we get a proof, we send them a PDF on an email. But a lot of our relationships certainly do start with maybe a text message to a cell phone, and an image from him, and then we go from there.
That's great that you can actually have conversations with customers. This day and age, so many people try and have that conversation via email, and you kind of lose a lot of that personability that you can have with a customer and developing that initial relationship.
Yeah, it is. It is. We developed a new website about 3 years ago, and that's great. And we have a lot of customers that use the website and just order on the website, and we never talk to them. So I guess our approach, Ryan, is if the customer calls us, we'll return with a call. But if a customer comes in with an order via email, we kind of stay with email with them because I think that may be the way that they want to talk to us.
Okay.
So it depends on which way the customer comes into us to start.
So I had started out the podcast here today talking about how you've been able to successfully grow the business during a pandemic. And right now, with so many businesses that are struggling, what's the secret sauce, Steve? What have you done?
Yeah, I don't know if there is one. I have a quote here that I read. I guess I got a long time ago, and it says, "When things are good, you advertise." And then it says, when things are bad, you must advertise. And I guess, I'm in the print industry, so I'm always looking to do, more advertising or trying to get a client to do more advertising. But with us, it's kind of a four-legged stool. I guess the first thing we've always kind of focused on was email blasts. It is inexpensive, constant contact or chimp mail or whatever you're using out there. That's certainly a great way to start to get the ball rolling. A couple things to do on the email wise is you could buy a list, or you could do some Google ads and then use ClickFunnels on your website, which we do. So we're doing a lot of email blasts. We're buying lists from list companies. There's a big company out there called Database USA. They're a good company. And then the last way to I guess build the first leg of the stool of emails is to join associations. A lot of associations will allow you to if you join that association, you'll get a list from them of everybody else in that association. That might be a pest association or a trash hauling association of Texas or of a town in Texas, that type of thing. So email was a big one for us last year.
Okay.
The second one, again, we're a printing company, is catalogs. We have a catalog for each of the vertical markets that we're in,
All right.
and we mail that catalog out to the entire industry twice a year. So let's give you an example. There's about 12,000 trash haulers in the United States. Each trash hauler in the United States every year gets our catalog. So that's kind of the second leg to the stool where we continue to grow our business. I guess the third leg out there is ClickFunnels. So once we do some Google ads, and once you see a Google ad, or it might be a blog that we wrote on door hanging envelopes or door hangers to promote your business, you come into our website, you register for our newsletter, and then we will do two things. We'll ask you for your address, and we'll say, hey, would you like our kit? We have a media kit we send out. So once they come onto our website, once they come into our ClickFunnel, we then send them a catalog out, and they become what we call a hot customer. We use a website for emails called Infusionsoft, and we tag them as hot, and then they stay hot. They stay hot until they become a customer. And what that does for us is kind of the fourth leg. The fourth leg is we mail them an item with a price list every single month as a hot customer. Okay. So let's say you're a pest control company, and we might mail you a bait label, because we sell a lot of bait labels, which is a sticker that goes on bait traps. We'll mail you a sample bait label and a price list. The second month, we might mail you a pest control company they like door hangers. So we'll mail you a sample door hanger with some bugs on it, and maybe a sample door hanger that we've done from somebody else with a price list. And every month we do that until the customer becomes, or I should say, a prospective client becomes a customer.
Right.
So those are kind of the four things. We start with email. We then go to mail the catalog. Once they become on a hot list, we send them our media kit, which shows us all the products that we sell, and then we do a drip campaign, a mail campaign monthly, until hopefully they become a customer. Sometimes they never do, but we continue to bug them out there.
Right, exactly. And I think one of the things that you said was, the drip campaign and, really tracking your leads. So many times I talk to customers and I ask what they did for marketing. And, it's like, oh, I threw up something on Facebook and said a little prayer and hope for the best. And there's no tracking as to what the results were that they got from that campaign. So it's good to hear, that, you're proof in the pudding that it is successful. If you do something and then test and measure, you can definitely track the results of that.
Yeah, I know you do a lot of that, Ryan. I don't do a lot. I guess that would be if I had a five-legged stool, that would be the fifth leg. I don't do a whole lot of social media. We certainly have some social media pages,
Hmm.
but I don't do any. I don't push on that platform. It's tough when you're in the that vertical markets that we are. There's not a big, I guess, following for trash haulers on Facebook or Instagram. So that's been a little bit more difficult. But certainly a great way. The last thing, and I always love to mention this, people. I just did a blog for Pest Control magazine out of California, PCOC, and there's a neat postcard way. It's you can send a postcard through the mail now with discounted postage. It's called Every Door Direct Mail. And what you're able to do with Every Door Direct Mail is to send, let's say, a 6x9 postcard to everybody in a certain neighborhood. So let's imagine you, Ryan, today. You're now a trash hauler. You've got a truck and you got a couple containers, and you're looking for people that you might think as prospective customers.
Okay.
You can send a postcard to everybody in a neighborhood or in a certain area, mostly residential. You can't do it on the commercial side, so you really can't send it to businesses. But let's say you own a trash company and you're independent, and let's say a portion of Howard County, Maryland, you can go anywhere. You don't have to use the county. You can use any independent hauler. You could do a mailing to everyone in a neighborhood or a zip code or an area, and rather than paying, which is unbelievable now, the postage stamp is 55 cents. Rather than paying 55 cents, the EDDM postcard is actually 19.1 cents to mail out. So it's about
Wow.
almost a 66% savings on postage. And the second thing that's really neat about that too is you don't need a list. You don't have to have a list of customers because it's going to send to everybody in that zip code or in that subcategory of zip code that you like. So that's another neat way that
Very
we've been
cool.
doing a lot of things.
So, what is it that sets your company apart from other similar organizations that do printing?
Good question. Good question. A lot of people ask me, what do you do? Are you kidding me? In the internet world, you're doing printing, but the big name that always comes out is Vistaprint. Well, I can get my Vistaprint business cards for $9.95, and certainly they do that. That's their lost lead. But a lot of times, their formats on those type of sites, on the internet-based type sites, where if you have a business card, you really can't customize it, or if you have a postcard, you really can't customize it. And I think that's where we're different. Imagine, I know you can call Amazon, but imagine trying to order something print-wise off the internet, and through a chat box, try to explain to somebody that that's not a roll-off vehicle, that you want a rear load, not a roll off or a front load truck put on your brochure or on your business card.
Right.
I think that's where the personalization comes through. That we're here every day from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. That way we cover the West Coast as well as best as possible. But we're here 12 hours a day. Someone's here manning the phones, and we can walk them through and actually make it exactly the way they want it. Maybe it might take 3 proofs, it might take 33 proofs, but we'll get it right. And when it prints, the last thing, we'll guarantee it 100%. We've never had a customer where if they didn't want it or if they didn't like it, we wouldn't say 100% we'll guarantee that it will be right.
Customer service, right?
It is. It's number one. There's a sign. If I could turn the camera on the wall, we have some salespeople here, and one of my sales guys, ironically, he worked for me for Reliable Data in 1990. His name's Ken. He's almost family here, And he came in my office and he said, we've got a problem. And I said, what's going on? And he said, we messed up this job. It was printed incorrectly, and we've got to reprint it. And I said, okay, all right, let's get it reprinted. And he says, you don't understand. It's going to cost us $683. And I said, Ken, what's the sign say in the conference room? And the sign says, doing the right thing is always the right thing. And he says, I know what it says. You repeat it all the time here. And I say, well, just reprint it. And he said, it's going to, and that's what it is. It's doing the right thing for the customer. And I think that's, like you just said, Ryan, customer service is kind of going away. I mean, it really has. I mean, we were on a website the other day, and we were trying to buy a product that we use in the pest control industry. And at the bottom of the website, I kid you not, it said, we have turned our phones off as of 2012. And I think about that. It said, we had turned our phones off 9 years ago. If you need something, please use the blog in the bottom right-hand corner. And I thought about that, and I thought about our growth. Even in a pandemic last year, we grew. And I thought, you know what? That's why we grow is because of customer service. There's not a situation where myself, my brother who works here with me, he runs customer service, or one of our sales guys, or one of our drivers here has not delivered on a Saturday, on a Sunday. Ron will work on weekends to get a job run if I need a job run on the weekends.
Right.
We had a situation. We do a tremendous amount of business with the city of Baltimore. And the police department called us and said that the mayor was having a meeting at 7 a.m. The following morning. It was about 3 p.m. that day, and they needed X amount of booklets, GBC bound, and they needed 150 of them. It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and they had to have them delivered. We needed to deliver them, too, by 7 a.m. the next morning to the police department for a meeting for the mayor.
No pressure.
And we made it happen. Yeah, and we made it happen. And I think that's the difference, too. If we need to, we'll jump through hoops if we need to get the job done.
That's awesome. So brand is a big topic this day and age, and I talk a lot about personal brand and professional brand. For those that are trying to define their own brand, what advice, can you give them? And, talk a little bit about your brand. What's your brand?
Well, I had the chance when I bought it in 2003. The software company separated. Reliable Data was sold off to a couple of attorneys in California, and they didn't want the print division. So I had to make up a company name, and I thought American, ironically in 2003, American would be a good start. Business forums.
Yep.
I remember I went to Towson State University, which is now Towson University, right here in Maryland. And I remember one of my marketing teachers saying, do you want to know the best name of any company out there? And certainly IKEA wouldn't be one, right? Because you really don't know what they did. But they did a ton of advertising. But it was a company right here in Baltimore. And I always remember the story. It was Aaron Rents Furniture. And it says it all. I mean, it's what they do.
Right.
And I think that's where we started. We started with American Business Forums. My first employee I hired was my brother, and I actually didn't buy the company until I convinced my brother that he was going to take the job because I wasn't going to do it on my own. And once he came on board, I already had American Business Forums in the back of my head, but he added and envelopes because we do about 25% of our business is done in envelopes.
Okay.
But as far as brand, I think. I don't know if the brand name is that important. I referred to IKEA. If you remember, you're Ryan, we're probably around the same age. The old IKEA ads were state of the art. Right. Whoever that ad agency was, they did a great job. eBay, right? That was they couldn't find another name, and they came up with eBay. But I think once you get brand, you've got to get it out there. And there's a lot of inexpensive ways with social media, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, you can get your name out there. But once you do have the brand, get it out there and label everything you can with it and push it out as much as you can. Videos, we're doing one today. We do a lot of videos here. Okay. I think they're important. I read something that you have an 80% better chance of someone watching a video than reading a blog. And if you
Right.
think about that, I think that's why maybe we're doing this today. And I think a lot of, even just a short video, on our website, we've always done, every product has a video attached to it so you can actually see the product. And we'll flip it over and we'll say, hey, this is a 2-part form. This is a 3-part. This is
Right.
an envelope. It has a door hanger on the side of the envelope so you can hang it on your door. Those type of things are important. But I think brand is great, but push the brand as much as you can in every way you can.
And I think you kind of said it a minute ago. We were talking about customer service. Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon, probably said it best: is your brand is what everybody says when you walk out of the room, right? And so, for American business envelopes, forms and envelopes, I think it's all about customer service. And then the one guy is saying to the next guy, hey, go and talk to Steve because they're going to take care of you and they're going to make sure it's right. Even if we got to spend $650 to reprint the job because they mess it up, they're going to take care of it. And that says a
Yeah.
lot.
What I guess our famous story is a lady. I won't mention the name, but it's 2 letters. It's MA, and then it's the name of the company. And she ordered business cards, and I'll be honest with you, we do print business cards, but it's not a very profitable part of our business. It's probably less than 1%.
Right.
But it was a first order, and we did the business cards for her, and she got them, and she called someone here and said she wasn't happy with them, that they weren't raised ink, which is called thermal ink. And we print it that way, and we print it with flat ink as well, and raised ink is about 3 times more expensive. So what she thought she was going to get for her $45 was raised ink. She called up, it went through a couple people here, and finally she said, I've had enough, I need to talk to the owner. And I got on the phone, and her name was Mary, and I said, hey Mary, how are you? And she said, well, this is the situation. I said, I understand, Mary. So that would be $68. And she said to me, Ryan, she said, if I ordered a cheese pizza and you delivered me a pepperoni pizza, would Domino's, send me a new pizza out? And I said, okay. So I'll tell you what, Mary, I'll reprint them and I'll do them thermal and we'll do them in raised ink.
Right.
Well, about 3 or 4 months later, as I do a lot of the accounting work here, I noticed that she was ordering almost every week some type of product. Well, little did I know that the M in the name of the company was her name, and the A was her husband Albert, and they owned the largest HVAC, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning contracting company in the state of New Jersey. And she was on the phone with one of our customer service reps, and I said to her, I said, hey, when you get off the phone, tell Mary I want to talk to her. And I picked up the phone and I said, Mary, I got to tell you, I had no idea. I didn't go on your website. I didn't print those for free because I just printed them for free because I want to do the right thing. But wow, you order so much. And she said, well, we have a plumbing division, we have an electrical division, we have a heating and ventilation and air conditioning division. We run, and then we have a mechanical contracting division. So we have 4 divisions we run here. And I know one thing: when you guys reprinted my business cards, I knew that if I ever needed anything and it wasn't right, that you would just reprint it. So you just got all my business, and the local guy that was down the street, I stopped doing business with him. So again, just a customer service story there, and we hope we always do the right thing.
Right. So you've worked as a small business owner for a while. Can you recall a time where your ethics were challenged, and how did you deal with it?
Yeah, I think people, we talked about having a boat or whatever you have, and I think a lot of people forget. You see, I give you an example. Beyonce, right? She what did she make? $400 million last year, and you don't see the sweat. And you don't see the sweat equity, and you don't see what she went through. And if you know the story of the Beatles, it took them 7 years. They were in bars for 7 years before they had a real hit out there, and they made some money. And I got to tell you, there were times where everybody got paid on Friday, and I was looking at my 401k saying maybe I need to take a loan on this.
Right.
The I guess the biggest thing that happened to me was the first 2 years I owned the company. I hired my brother immediately. I took him from another company, and I didn't pay myself for 2 years. So for 24 months, I took zero salary. I committed to my brother that I would match the salary where he was. And I got to tell you, Ryan, it was a little tough. My wife probably thought I was crazy. I had some savings, but I thought this was the only way that we were going to be able to build this business. and it worked. It worked out, but it was tough. It was. I mean, we're going on our 18th year here, but there were certainly difficult times out there where you didn't know. Where you're going to make payroll on Friday, and then did you have to use an equity line? And I just remember all that in the beginning. It was just tough to get
Right.
on board, and now here we are, 18 years later, and it seems like there's no end. It just seems like the phone just rings off the hook, and the calls just continue to come in.
That's great. So I guess in summary there, it's do the right thing. If you say you're going to do
Yeah, it
something,
is.
follow through, right? So many businesses are currently struggling right now. Is there any advice that you can offer them?
I guess I think people. I'm not saying spend money, but I think you have to spend the money in advertising. I really do. I think I had a second quote here for today, a good old Henry Ford quote for
There
us
we
all.
go.
It says stopping advertising to save money is like stopping your watch to save time. And I'll be honest with you, I never saw that quote till this morning. So it's ironic that you and I are going to have this call today. But I think getting out there, and I'm not saying spending advertising. We talked about social media. Is just getting out there and doing everything you can. I did some consulting for a kid that owned a wrapping company that wrapped cars and trucks and that type of thing.
Okay.
And he said he was struggling last year, and we were doing some stuff for him. And I just gave him a piece of advice. I said, have you ever wrapped? Some of the police cars are obviously wrapped. Some of the nonprofit, Baltimore Hunger Project, Habitat for Humanity. There's a lot of nonprofits out there. I said, go out and maybe do some free work for a nonprofit and see if you can get some sweat equity from them, where they'll advertise for you, or they'll put your name on the side of one of their trucks or something like that.
Right.
And he ended up doing some stuff for a cure for a wish, with some pink wrappings on some of their vehicles, and ended up promoting his business that way. But I think advertising, that you have to keep your foot on the gas. I can't say that anymore. That if you're not spending the money on advertising, and then number two, spend your time. You can't see it, but on the top of my monitor, I have two quotes, and one of them says, "1/3 of your job is advertising." I spend about a third of my job, or a third of my time, sitting here thinking on how to find new customers, or the old 80/20 rule, right, is to try to get maybe another order out of that customer that you already have. So,
Right.
again, advertising would be my number one, my number two, and my number three, probably way to build your business.
Yeah, there's a lot of noise out there this day and age with social media and cell phones and everything else that's out there, and you have to keep yourself in front of your prospective customers and even your existing customers. So,
It's
but
so true. It really is.
is there anything else that you'd like to share with the audience today?
No, I'd like to say thanks to you. I know you do a lot on the social media side, and I think that's something. Our next step is maybe to push that side out of our business too. I think we're missing something there. I think there's definitely some blogging we could be doing on the social side to maybe press out to some businesses that we're not seeing right now. The last thing is I talked about associations. Is people still open up mail, and one of the last things we've done as well is magazine ads.
Okay.
A lot of the magazines, or the trade magazines, I should say. Again, we're in different industries than most people would be. They'll actually polybag their magazine, meaning they put a poly wrapper around it, and they'll drop in flyers so that when you get that magazine in the mail, let's say you got a magazine in the mail, it would be polybagged, and inside that polybag they put flyers.
Okay.
And those flyers, we pay a lot of the trade magazines to put our brochure in there. And imagine you're a company owner and you get the trade magazine, you open up that poly bag, and one of our brochures falls out on his lap. Kind of a neat way that maybe they're not in our database, they're not in our email system, and we think that's a good way to maybe find some people that are out there in the industry that we don't know about.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot. So, Steve, I thank you for your time, and my hope is that we've inspired others. Should folks have any further questions for you, how do they reach you?
Best thing is just to give us a call, 800-519-3691. We're right in Baltimore. We were in Canton for the longest time. We're now in Fells Point, right down on the water here. Just give us a call, or you can go on our website. It's www.amer, like America, and then bus, like business, and then forms.com. So ameribusforms.com. Either way, but giving us a call is the easiest. The phone is easiest way to get at least the conversation started and knowing what you might need.
All right, and I'll tag your information at the bottom of the video so everybody has a direct link and can see that phone number as well. So thanks for watching, and check out Tecastic.com for other inspiring podcasts.